The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and/or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated to our favorite shows!
Oh, my circuit!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Pearson at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting, you know where you belong, premiere podcast, TV Party Tonight. I'm the host tonight. I'm the captain of this ship, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show is The Critic. The Critic. Acting. Line. The Critic is an American adult animated sitcom revolving around the life of New York film critic Jay Sherman, my spiritual...
Dude, no doubt.
my avatar.
I was going to say, Jay Sherman is you and Robert in a blender.
Voiced by, once again, actor extraordinaire, Jon Lovitz. It was created by writing partners Al Jean and Mike Bryce, who had previously worked as writers and showrunners on the third and fourth seasons of The Simpsons. 23 episodes of The Critic were produced. The show was first broadcast on ABC in 1994 and finished its original run on Fox in 1995. You're watching Fox. You give us 3 minutes, we'll give you an ass. All right. Speaking of asses, first, my brother from another mother. He is the host of Source Material in his own right. Ladies and gentlemen, Hachi Machi. It's Jesse Starcher.
Wow, what a show. You guys know that I have never watched this until you put this on my plate. So this has been an experience, and I can't wait to talk about it.
I will double back to you in a moment because that needs an explanation.
Oh, yeah.
And the bitch of all dogs.
Okay, so we found out over the holidays that we had bunny rabbits burrowing underneath the concrete in our backyard.
Oh, no.
And rather than call someone about it, we thought, oh, that's awesome. We have bunnies. So we decided to start sneaking them fruits and vegetables where we found the little burrow entrances because they're so cute. And my lab has declared war on it because they keep coming out in the backyard. And she's like, oh my God, let me out. And I am not interested in seeing a reenactment of Watership Down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the babbling woman you see before you is also the host of TV Party, the Hollywood generative slop that I don't want to deal with. Ladies and gentlemen, from Honeysuckle Rose Creations, as I called her, Queen Bitch herself of all dogs, barking that is, Alexis Hejna. How do you do, madam?
I'll be right back. I'm going to go try to shut Cleo up.
Great, I'm going to talk to Jesse. Jesse, my God, this is like our Stripperella show. So had you heard of The Critic before I dragged you into this review?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you've referenced it plenty. I'm certain of it.
I had to explain to my kids that 90% of my humor now comes from The Critic.
Yeah, you could tell that you're were you watching this contemporarily? Is that the word?
Yes, contemporaneously. Okay. Yes, I was, sir. I watched it on ABC and I watched every single episode on Fox. You're watching Fox. I won't do it again.
It shaped you.
It really did.
It really
did. I have been referring to The Critic as the spiritual successor, the spiritual prequel to Damn You Hollywood. I got a whole thing I'm going to do on TikTok tomorrow about it. But incidentally, it's not like I like saw The Critic and was like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. A short, bitter, lonely movie critic.
Yeah.
You know, it just, I realized it in retrospect that when I listened to Robert and I, the way we talk about movies, I'm like, oh my God, we sound just like Jay Sherman.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, you do.
I'll get to you in a minute. Now listen, yes, I was watching the show contemporaneously on ABC and then Fox. I absolutely love the show. This is like in my top 5 of like animated comedies, to where like streaming tears of laughter in almost
Wow.
every episode. I rewatched both seasons before the review tonight with my kids, and nothing is funnier to me than my son and I just like guffawing over this show, and my girlfriend and my daughter going, "We don't get it." Like,
I was going to say, how many references did you have to explain to your children?
all of them, every one.
I was going to say, the one thing you do have to argue against the show, it is so adorably dated.
Yeah.
Dude, it's funny because I read through the Wikipedia. I don't want to read the whole thing, but there's a bit of a legacy with the Critic. And one of the things was that, yes, some of them were pop culture references of the time, but they also wanted to do timeless references. Except if you're a Gen Z or Gen Alpha, you still don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because I'll tell you, because my son thought it was funny because he got the gist of it and he could kind of fill in the gaps. My daughter, like, she thought it. She was like, "Why are there so many fat jokes in this?" That was how she related to the show. And my girlfriend wasn't. She walked out of the room is what happened. How about you, Alexis? I know that I purposely included you in on this. I would not have excluded you. No, I would never have thought about it, because not only are an animation person here, you've seen like every cartoon ever, but I know for a fact, because you, me, and Dorian couldn't stop doing critic quotes at one point during one show. You were clearly a fan of the show.
Pretty much. I think at one point it's like, okay, if we're not doing Simpsons quotes, we're quoting the Critic. You know?
Yeah. Or Animaniacs, or Pinky
Or
and the Brain.
yeah, pretty much. I saw a couple of episodes of this when it originally aired on TV when I was younger. I wasn't really in the right age to appreciate it.
How old were you in 1994? Because I'm a senior in high school.
94, I would have been 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah, I could see where, like, criticizing movies, in a cartoon show about a middle-aged lonely man, was not going to reach you at 9.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I specifically remember watching the episode where Carmen goes on a date, or Marty goes on a date with Carmen, and watching it all, and I'm like, yeah, I wonder why 9-year-old me didn't understand the jokes about Fidel Castro.
So how did you come to find the show later? Like, did you go back and watch these?
Pretty much. Someone had uploaded a bunch of them on YouTube back in the day. I watched them. I love them. My husband bought them for me on my computer. I've got them and I watch them so many times. A lot of times if I'm traveling and I can't get decent Wi-Fi access, this is one of the shows I'll go pull up so I can just have it on in the background. I love it. I think it's great. And yeah, it's just so... I don't know what the word is. Jon Lovitz is one of the funniest guys, I think, to ever come out of SNL.
He is way underrated. Like, I think because movies tend to be the champagne of entertainment. If you can't get a good movie career going, people don't think you're a good actor. But
Yeah,
Jon Lovitz is outstanding, and I think this is the thing he's most well known for.
And I looked at a lot of his filmography, and most of it is bit roles, cameos. He like a lot of SNL graduates. He was one of the guys who just sort of piggybacked on Adam Sandler's film company for a while.
Right.
But he's never really had a big successful thing to his name other than The Critic, which only lasted 2 seasons. And I was going, this guy is unbelievably hilarious. He's one of the he constantly makes me laugh. And it is really disappointing that he's never had his big glorious moment like so many other people from SNL have had.
If they're gonna keep insisting on bringing old heads into Only Murders in the Building, I need a Jon Lovitz.
Yes,
I need
please.
a Jon Lovitz character.
Yes.
But I need
That'd
him
be
doing
great.
his character from SNL, the one that I keep doing. Genius, wonderful acting, line. I did that at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 14. Me and Freak Boy. This is Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels at the Fleet Center in Boston, and every match we're just going to the point where we annoyed a kid and he turned around and yelled at us. So this is 1998, so I'm 22, I think. And every match we're just like, brilliant, wonderful, marvelous, line. Anyway, Jesse, what did you expect when I told you, we're hornswoggling you into doing this? What did you expect from this show?
Well, I knew it was coming out. This is 94, 95, and it was going to be a little more adult than usual, I guess you'd say, than any other animated. This isn't going to be Animaniacs. I knew this was prime time. Correct. This was like slated, like you said, on ABC, like right before Home Improvement, apparently, or right after. I can't remember. And then, of course, that they slide it in after it went to Fox to The Simpsons, or like before or after The Simpsons.
Probably on like animated Sunday.
Yeah, right.
That's been a thing for decades.
So
they recently redubbed it Animation Domination.
Right.
Yeah. So I kind of knew it was going to be that kind of humor. I wasn't expecting it to be like really early Family Guy stuff, which is kind of like this. That's the vibe I got from this was the bit jokes, and then we're going to cut and show you that joke, and then that was about all I expected, really. I knew it was Jon Lovitz. I respect his comedy too. At this time, I think one of my favorite movies that he's in, he actually does in 1994, which is called Trapped in Paradise, and it's got Nicolas Cage in it and Dana Carvey, and it's a Christmas movie, and it's fantastic. And he plays Dave Furpo, which is this, he cannot tell the truth. He's just a habitual liar.
I know what you're talking about.
It is a great movie. And it ends up being like a heist movie, but of course the townspeople win these three brothers over, and love him. I love him. And he's like got a bit part in A League of Their Own. And he's hilarious in that. So I was really curious as to what we were going to get, and I laughed quite a few times watching this.
So let's get into what this is. So essentially, this is episodic. It's compartmentalized episodic. It does not have a through story from beginning to end like a lot of modern TV does. It is literally like a cartoon a cartoon sitcom. Just like The Simpsons, just like Family Guy, very few elements are retained from one season to the next. One of the things I want to talk about, we'll get to like the movie stuff in a little bit, but the first thing I wanted to bring up for discussion was a comment that my son made about the show, and I think it's hilarious, and I didn't pick up on it until he said it, even in my first watch of this, that there's a constant joke, because Jay is, ridiculously short. Like, the way they portray him in the show, he's like 3 feet tall. So he's short. He's fat. Apparently, he's like the Blob, where he's so dense he falls through floors and shit from the X-Men.
Yeah. Hey, Rush Limbaugh, race you to the lobby.
Yes.
Oh.
Ow. Sorry, Mittens. Ow.
Yeah, this whole show, ladies and gentlemen, is just us quoting the Critic. So anyway, one of the ongoing jokes is because he's short, fat, old. An ongoing joke with him, and I didn't relate to this at all, is the ex-wife who hates him.
I didn't relate to that at all.
No, I don't. Yeah, like he's just such like an anti-everything human being that everyone is made worse around him is the way he's presented. How many chicks he pulled, Jesse, in the first season alone?
Oh, quite a few. I mean, that was a lot of the running gag / story was him like actually finding a love interest in some way. He's desperate for it, ends up with the wrong people every once in a while, actually more than once in a while.
Well, yeah, but there was for an old lonely guy who apparently is desperate, the very first episode, like the pilot episode of The Critic, granted she's only sleeping with him to get him to give a good review of the movie, but I mean, who doesn't? So, who isn't sleeping with somebody to get something out of them in the year of our Lord 2025 or 1994 for that matter? So, like, that one tracked for me. There's the Misery episode, which try explaining misery to your kid.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh my God. Seriously, did you have to explain misery
Yeah,
to them?
somewhat. And he's funny because Family Guy also did a misery bit with Stewie and Brian, and he kind of remembered that episode. But yeah, there's the misery episode where the woman, the projectionist, kidnaps him, and she kidnaps him because like she has. I'm gonna stop.
Oh
making-
yes,
I'm gonna
that
stop making jokes about this sort of thing. I gotta behave myself. But she, this is amazing. This woman doesn't know what to think of movies and thinks everything is good. I can't. Oh God. Anyway, so yes, so she kidnaps Jay to tell her which movies are bad and which movies are good. I feel like in the first season, there's at least one or two more incidences where
Oh,
he
yeah.
pulls a hot chick. Oh, there's the one that's dating him that from another country where she's been with a bunch of hot guys before.
That's Jeremy's twin sister,
Right.
Olivia. Yeah, that's the episode where he realizes he's in love with Alice.
Right. Okay,
Mhm.
that's second season because Alice doesn't make an appearance until second season.
Mhm.
If you can think of some other ones, I'll stop talking so you guys can jump in.
Well, there is. Okay, so this show actually got picked up for webisodes a little
Mhm.
ways in the future because, do you guys remember that brief period in the early 2000s? We thought webisodes were going to be the big
No,
thing.
I ignored them all. Every last one of them. I knew this was never going to last.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is for those who are adorably young, this is not streaming. This is webisodes. It is a completely different thing. And a lot of fans actually got upset about it because Jay mentions that he just went through a second divorce. Alice is nowhere to be seen. So we're all going, wait, so he married Alice and divorced her? No one wanted that. But now he's trying to date his new makeup lady because by this point, Doris Crow, who plays Doris and also plays Doris the lunch lady, I think they were typecasting her, had passed away. So they needed someone new to do the spray paint on Jay's head. So, and yeah, his new makeup lady was gorgeous.
So yeah, so Jesse, I'll go to you. What did you think of this whole like idea of this interesting bit in the writing where they make him out to be a troll essentially, but he keeps bagging babes like every
Yeah.
episode?
Well, it's all for the wrong reasons, and I think that's the charm, I guess, of the series is the fact that as slovenly and as as just unattractive he is, he owns it a little bit. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times when there's a joke to be made, like he leads into that joke, or he one of the two things happens where we flash back to where we see him breaking the horse's back or something like that. And,
Oh no, yeah, what's the line? Should I get up and ride the horse? It'd be crueler for me or it'd be less cruel for me to shoot it.
yeah. But he also, there's every person that he's finding has some kind of angle, some kind of desperation need to have Jay as part of their life. And it's kind of nice when we roll into the second season and he finds Alice, which I dug that. I like the fact that he's actually able to land somebody who has a kid. However, it's we still have a couple storylines after that where he's still trying to bag like a hot chick, and he's like, well, Alice is fine with it. I'm like, dude, that feels kind of odd. But anyway, yeah, it was definitely a weird choice for the writing, and it did seem to be a little bit more frequent than I thought it should have been.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Alexis after this. I want to weigh in here. I think when my son mentioned it and I had to focus on that, I was like, I don't love this element of the show. Like the stuff that we talk about, the stuff that we quote are either cutaway gags or like one-liners from other characters or like the movie critic stuff. His love life stuff is not interesting. I should do this on camera. Not interesting. B, like it's a tired gag from the get-go. Because again, either he's homely and he can't bag chicks, or he's not, but then stop saying he is. That's my thought on it. What do you think, Alexis?
Oh, it's the honeymooners writing trope. The fat guy is always going to get the hot chick. Ralph Cramden, Fred Flintstone, Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin. Oh my God. Character's name from King of Queens. I can't even think of what Kevin
Hank
James.
Hill. Oh
Hank,
no, you're
I
thinking
said
of the
King
Hank
of
Hill's
Queens,
buddy.
not King of the Hill. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
No, seriously, that's a trope in writing in comedy. Is that it doesn't matter that the husband can be a big, fat, annoying slob.
Oh,
He
have you
always gets
guys
the hot chick.
have you guys seen Kevin Can Fuck Himself? Okay. All right. Listen.
I'm sorry. That sentence by itself. Hey, babe, have you seen?
Oh my goodness. This trope is specifically the reason why that show exists. It stars the beautiful woman from Schitt's Creek. What's her name? Help me out.
Catherine O'Hara.
No, the
Oh
young
no, the girl
lady.
plays the daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're talking about the blonde.
I can't remember her name. She has right there on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, that's the whole point of that show, and it really messes with your head. But that whole trope, because she's beautiful and her husband is this slovenly guy, and what they do great with that is that whenever he is in the room, it becomes a sitcom. When he leaves the room, it becomes like this crazy drama. And I mean, she's obviously really hot, and he is, he is just it stinks.
Thank you, Andrew Graham.
But anyway, if you get a chance, it's on Netflix called Kevin Can Fuck Himself. It's great. But it dives right into exactly what you're talking about there. I interrupted you, Alexis. I'm sorry.
But no, seriously, you look at shows like I'm okay. I use the Honeymooners as the example because that's as far back as I could think. And obviously, people would say, well, what about the Flintstones? The Flintstones was meant to be just like the Honeymooners, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
So I am going with Ralph and Alice Cramden for this example here. It's like, yeah, Ralph was a big, fat, loudmouth pain in the ass. And Alice, while she had kind of a nasally voice, was fairly good looking. And she stood by his side the whole time.
Archie and Edith.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Edith.
By the way, Glenn Miller played.
Edith has her moments.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I'm calling it the Honeymooners trope that the fat guy, as long as he's funny, is going to get whatever hot woman he wants.
Did the dating stuff grate on you? Like, I think the point that I'm driving home is because it's kind of disjointed in its presentation. The way you're saying it, it's following a trope, but I'm thinking back to like what I've seen of the Honeymooners. I don't know if they always made such an issue out of the fact that how did Ralph get
Alice.
Thank you. How did Ralph get Alice? The way they do with Jay, where everybody on Earth is telling him he's terrible and he'll never get women, and then he does. And it's like you do that once or twice, and it's funny. You do that 8 times throughout the goddamn season. You're like, wait, what are you? This is the same joke. Why are we doing this?
Well, you keep saying 8 or 9 times, and I don't think it did. Again, we had the first episode with the actress.
There's definitely.
We had it in the second season, but that's the same episode. And then the entire second season, he's with Alice.
Yeah, I feel like there were more bits with the girlfriends, but you're probably right. I'm probably overselling it.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of times where, I remember, what is it, the screenwriter episode where this girl comes in wearing, Sabrina Carpenter style, just wrapped in a towel. She goes, I just read the script in a tub and I want to know more about the man who wrote it. And what does Jay say? Well, shrimp gives me gas. Yeah, that's it. I've heard enough.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to some of the other characters in this. I want to talk about his family because the mom and the dad, the adoptive parents, first of all, they are absolutely going for the Bushes in that,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they especially with the dad. It's hard to say that with the mom because they don't draw her like Barbara Bush.
She sounds more like Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah, it's a weird mix, but they're definitely going for, I think, George H.W. Bush with the dad. I feel like that's what he's patterned after. If you disagree, you got another idea. That's always who I see.
I just always love that he's always got a glass of brandy. No matter what they're doing, no matter where they are, whatever's going on, he's always got a glass of brandy in his hand.
He really starts to have some of the funnier bits, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was getting that. There's always a character who's. They don't focus on him in the beginning. In the beginning, they focus on the star, but as the show goes on, people figure out there's funnier characters on the show. The dad is by far the funniest character on this show.
100%.
My favorite episode of The Critic of all time is the Pulitzer Prize. the Pulitzer Prize one, because that's so damn you Hollywood. Where
Yes.
where he reads his criticism, which is essentially, if the movie stinks, just don't go. Prescient, to say the least. And the father sees him and he goes, if the movie doesn't
Or the movie stinks, do-si do.
Yeah, if the movie stinks, do-si do. And the fucking butler, the man left, sir. I die every time I see that. But yeah, the father, they explain it right off the bat that the father is way off, like he's a nut job. Yeah. And I think because they didn't want to lean too much into mental illness, though I think his wife goes like, we tell people he got hit on the head to just explain his personality.
Oh, we touched Jay says my dad had a stroke a few years, and the mother goes, no, he didn't. We just tell everyone that to explain it.
Right. But again, he later on, I think in the second season, they do a thing where they get trapped on an island, and he turns all the monkeys.
Yes.
Right. It's like he's the most sentient, or he's the most smartest guy for the longest time. Then I'm like, what happened here? At least he turned a corner, and then Jay shows back up. They get him back, and he's back off of it again.
I feel like the comments are very thematic tonight.
Let's see how many it stinks we can get before the show's over.
The one thing the show's known for.
But no, talking about the dad, I just gotta say this. I introduced the show to an old friend of mine. She would travel with me to conventions, and this was again one of the shows we'd watch at the end of the day when we were kicking back at the hotel. And she said her favorite part of it was that she never knew what the father was gonna do next.
You have no idea.
The father fucking talking to penguins and shit.
Right.
Penguins can't fly. Penguins can't fly. I love that episode.
In the second season, the opening credits, they have a bit where they push a cake into it's Jay's birthday, and his father pops out of the cake, and it says Mr. 1937.
Yeah.
I fucking die every time.
Yeah, nice little callback.
But yeah, I think the father is really, really funny. The mom, I didn't think I was gonna like, and it was funny because you watch something when you're 14, 18, 22, it changes when you're almost 50. I can guarantee that. So I don't remember hating the mom the first time around. I don't think I focused on her as much. She was kind of like Duke or Doris. She's just kind of a foil for Jay, and I didn't pay that much attention to it. Thinking about the Critic before I watched it again, I was like, I think I'm going to hate the mom character.
Yeah, she's not a good person.
But here's the thing. Like, they were very careful to not make her completely unlikable. So, like, for example, and I really like this episode because it deals with, finding purpose in life in your golden years. So something that a lot of people struggle with is kids leave, empty nest, kids leave the home. You start to get into your retirement years. You've raised kids, you've worked. Now you got to enjoy yourself, and you suddenly don't have purpose. And you're like, what do I do with my life other than get depressed and do drugs? And that's what she's struggling with. And then she decides to, and the gags where she's trying different things is funny. But then she writes a book, and she basically uses Jay as the character, and it's like the fat little pig.
Fat little pig.
And Jay's like, what the fuck? Because people realize it's him. So they're just like, you're the fat little pig. And when she despite her success, when she realizes she's hurting Jay, she stops. And she kills off the character, and she's like, I was doing this to give my life meaning. I wasn't doing it to hurt you. And when I realized, I was like, she's more obtuse than she is mean. So what did you think of the mom character, Alexis?
They really did a good job balancing it. They couldn't show these characters as just completely cruel to Jay because they are supportive. He does love them, clearly. Mm-hmm. I do love also his sister, Margot. Mm-hmm. He has a really close relationship with her, absolutely loves her. When she has to go to the debutante ball, she says, fine, if I'm going, I'm taking my brother as my date.
Mm.
I found a guy for you. He bleeds.
He's blue blood. And I do love that, Jay's able to go back and talk to them. And there's a couple of again, his father is the funniest character on the show, but there's a couple of episodes that it really shows just how caring his father is. I like the marathon episode where he's actually helping train him for the marathon and running with
Yeah.
them. It's like, what's Lance like? I think you've got the heart of a winner. Now remember, don't sniff the other dog's butts. There'll be time for that later.
Right. I'm not a dog. Jay, anything else on the family, Jesse, before we move on?
Oh, you talked about the mom. I mean, I that one episode where him and his mom have the falling out, and she ends up in the hospital because she has a broken heart, and then the doctor goes through and tells everybody else they have some kind of fake injury. But
It's like, you just have, I say, it's like you're suffering from puppy love. You have a bad case of the blues, something like that.
right. But I remember watching that episode and going like, man, she is mean to him. He's adopted. I mean, we talked. I think we mentioned that already.
Yes, the
but
butler mentions it every time he sees it. Hello,
Yeah,
hello, adopted Master Jay.
right.
Right. Left.
And I got to understand the statement that she's obtuse, a little bit obtuse. She doesn't really know how to show love and affection.
They
like
are
most
very
normal
blue blood waspy people.
Right.
And and sort of the low hanging fruit, and the way these people are written. Like if you've ever watched The Crown, it's like, let's distill The Crown into the worst fucking stereotypes and then turn up the volume and rip the knob off. And
Rip
that's
the
his
knob off.
Rip the knob off. You want to get in on this, Alexis?
No, you two are doing a perfectly
Okay.
fine job. I don't need to intercede.
All right. Yeah, but you're right. Like they're just so over the top with that kind of obtuse blue blood waspy portrayal.
Right. But again, Alexis mentioned the relationship with the sister, which I thought was one of the more, heartwarming parts of this show. To watch him kind of like they both care for each other. They both kind of watch out for each other. And that was pretty nice. So, it's a strange family for sure that he's come from. He was almost Doris's son. But not the case.
That's a great transition into the work characters. So you have Doris, the makeup lady, and then you have Duke, who is obviously Ted fucking Turner, which is hilarious to me because they actually reference Ted Turner. Like Duke's Philip Broadcasting is competing with Turner with TNT, so like they're rivals. But Charles Napier is clearly doing his best impression of Ted Turner. And I love the Duke character. He is so fucking funny. And I'll tell you, the Duke character, what I think is hilarious about him and very prescient with this series is he is very much like that studio executive. Going, I don't care about the quality. This is about butts and seats. This is about selling tickets. This is about getting ratings.
It's all about ratings.
Just do that much. And I think that for me is like the central antagonism of the show, the central conflict rather of the show is between Jay and Duke, because it's two different philosophies crashing head on. And every time they do, it's fucking hilarious. The other thing I'll say to this, and I'll cede the floor to you guys to talk about Duke, and then if you want to, Doris. I don't have a whole lot to say about Doris. She's kind of one gag. The one episode where they bond is a nice episode, and that's all I have to say.
That's pretty much all.
You mean the episode when Jay and Doris bond, or?
Yeah.
Okay, because they in the second season, it turns out Doris is like head over heels in love with Duke, and he's just like, "Dear God, shoot me now."
Yeah, he's like fucking Richard Lewis and Tracy Ullman in the Robin Hood parody. Like, ugh. You haven't seen it. Robin Hood Men in Tights is what I just referenced. Anyway, back to Duke. Duke and Jay start off like very much at loggerheads, and that's, like I said, the central conflict of the show is those two philosophies banging into each other. But towards the end, you really get to see kind of a friendly antagonism, and I know nothing about friendly antagonism.
Crickets, push the button.
I was too busy trying to duck out of the screen.
Not something I'm familiar with. But you could see that, like, Jay cares for Duke, and Duke, in his own way, cares for Jay too. Sometimes it's like a father-son kind of a thing, and in a lot of ways, I think Duke is the father that Jay needs, and instead of the one that he has, which seems to be somewhat fucking on another world. But what did you think of Duke, Jesse?
I mean, yeah, just like you said, it's kind of nice to have that foil, the studio exec that's kind of over him and trying to keep him in check. I can't believe you said he doesn't care about quality when he clearly has a seal of approval in another room. I love Last Action Hero, by the way.
Let me tell you how the 2 or 3 different references back to Hee Haw the Next Generation left this laughter every time, and they got me because I couldn't remember when they cut to Worf like doing the knee smack.
the ham bone, the ham bone.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't know that had a name. I always called it. We used to call it a fat knee slap. But like they cut to Worf doing the knee slap, and I remember just fucking dying laughing, and I kept like every time they referenced Hee Haw the Next Generation, I would go to Jonas like, Jonas, it's coming. And he's like, okay, I'm ready. And then they didn't do it. And the second time, they didn't do it. And then the third time, I'm like, it's got to be this
it's
time.
Coming.
How many more times are they going to reference Hee Haw the Next Generation? And then they cut to Worf. And I fell the fuck over. I was done.
Oh man,
it's such a stupid thing, but it's so the look on Worf's face, the way they animated it, like I think
that smug.
Yeah, he's so happy.
he is getting down.
And boy, if you know Worf's character, that's even funnier. But I cut you off just because I had to talk about for the 8th time Hee Haw the Next Generation.
No, but as far as Duke goes, I mean, yeah, like it's nice to have him kind of play off of those two play off of each other. There's a lot of Duke in this series because just like you said, I mean, there's plenty of episodes that just center around what he's trying to do or what kind of craziness he is getting Jade to try and do.
My favorite Duke episode is the 2nd season when he runs for president.
Oh my God. It's like half the states are in the toilet and you are staying there.
Yeah. But yeah, good character, nice foil. So I like him.
What did you think of the Duke character, Alexis?
Well, he's a good line pusher in that he's kind of the one who does start a lot of the plot. He's the one who has to explain to Jay. It's like, your ratings are in the toilet. You got to do something, and that's what usually jump starts.
Isn't it one episode he's working with a shoot bear instead of a working bear?
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, he's trained to stand there.
And I love it. He's got the country bear mock-up at his office where the bears who sing for Duke do not.
Yeah, I figured you'd laugh at that.
Of course I would.
There's a bit where everyone's like chasing Jay, and they're like, "Get him!" And then then they cut to Duke, make him squeal. And they had to do the joke twice because in case you missed the Deliverance reference, take 2. In case you missed the Deliverance reference the first time, they made sure they leaned into it the second time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say the 2nd season started a gag where, I don't think it was the 2nd season, but I know it started later on that Duke thought Jay was gay.
I wanted to get there, but I didn't know if you had anything else to say about Duke, so we'll just get into it.
I was just going to say, I'm glad, I hate to say it because I wish the show had gone on longer, but at the same time, it's like, thank God that joke stopped when it did, because that could have gotten so old so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, like, I think a lot of the Critic still plays, but I'll tell you, every time he did the I'm not gay, I could hear the Red Letter Media guys going, who's got a case of the not gays? And every time they did the I'm not gay thing, I would look over at my daughter, who was just rolling her eyes out the back of her head and down.
Of course she was.
You know, and it made me think, like, I don't want to be this guy, but it is Pride Month after all. I did want to take a moment and be like, that joke, I still think it's funny, but I'm like 100, but I don't think it's aged well at all.
I'll agree.
Not even in the slightest. And that's another thing to remember. This is a show from the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like
back then.
It is kind of baffling to talk to people who were born after the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And they see the jokes that we grew up with. I still remember there was an article talking about Friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the episodes when Matthew Perry and Courtney Cox's characters are getting married, and Matthew Perry's dad is a transvestite
mm-hmm.
or whatever, and it's played up exactly like a transvestite in the 90s is going to be played up. And people are watching this nowadays going, it's like, what the hell? It's like, oh, didn't you people realize what you were doing? And we're like, no. We didn't. We were idiots. It's like you constantly learn and grow. We constantly change. In 10 years, we're going to look back at some of the jokes we're making on this show and we're going to go, oh, dear God, what the hell were we thinking?
Well, I won't, but the rest of you will. But I
Of
mean,
course.
look at where we came from. Look at like the 70s going into the 80s with like Three's Company, which I reference constantly because I'm 100. That show's whole premise was who's got a case of the not gays. You know, bosom buddies, two guys dressing up as women so that they could get a cheaper apartment. Remember that one, Jesse? Remember Bosom Buddies?
Oh, I remember Bosom Buddies. That was Tom Hanks, and who was the other guy? I can't remember the other guy, but it was just Tom Hanks.
Blonde guy
Wasn't it the dad from Home Alone?
Maybe.
No,
All I know is
think
like
so.
a blonde. It was like the same blonde guy that always looks like Bo Duke from not Ricky Schroeder, but maybe might as well have been. John Schneider. John Schneider.
Ricky Schroeder, John Schneider, Hachi Machi.
All the same guy. Hollywood's cloning factory. That's okay. The other night I was like Dane DeHaan, Leonardo DiCaprio, somebody Bill. I was like, they're all the same kid. Anyway. So I've also got anything else about A, the not gays, or B, Duke. I did want to, before I get into the final episode, which deserves its own conversation, we got to talk about some of these like one-liner gags and of course the movie parodies, because I know that's what everyone comes for. If you take that stuff away, almost nobody watches this show. But I'll get to this one first because it's probably been the longest lasting thing I'll quote from this show. And it came up because Dorian did a quote. I've done it a bunch of times. You've done it. You know, and I want to maybe also sidebar this into the voice work, which is your specialty. You know, right from the get-go, Maurice LaMarche is back again, Jesse.
Right, dude.
He's
what
right
I saw.
there. He's doing Orson Welles. He's doing other characters. He's got such a noticeable voice, but him doing Orson Welles is so fucking funny.
Green penis.
Yes. I can't tell you how many times I've done the "it's full of vitamin A and green penis." Wait, that's terrible. I quit.
Oh, yes. They're even better when you're dead.
Yeah.
Oh God, seriously, rewatching this, I was taking some notes for our review, and I actually wrote down, please tell me Maurice LaMarche and Kath Sose got paid by the line for this. Because they are in every single movie clip that Jay shows on his show. It's like, there's Maurice LaMarche. It's like, he did Jeff Goldblum, he did RoboCop, he did E.T. Oh my God, the B.E.T. one is easily the funniest one, and it's all because of Maurice LaMarche doing the voice.
I said Maurice LaMarche is a treasure nobody knows about.
Mhm.
Like, because how many people really know like voice actors? But you know, we just did Stripperella, and he was the funniest part of that.
Well,
Obviously,
what was crazy about that was the fact that I was confused and thought Jon Lovitz voiced that one character on Stripperella when in fact it was Maurice LaMarche doing a Jon Lovitz impersonation. And now we have a show that we're talking about where both of them are on it.
And of course, Maurice LaMarche does the belch every time. I don't know why, because he's talked about this so many times. He said it's not a belch, it's just it's like a growl that he can do. And I laugh so hard every time I hear a show or something and I hear that belch, and I'm not laughing like, haha, belch funny. It's like, because I know that's Maurice LaMarche doing what he does best.
Yeah, his Orson Welles, the green penis, and then when he's reading the Dorian did it and I had forgotten that was a line. He's like, tonight we do a grim tale of probate and goblins. Mr.
Fine,
Wells.
no goblins.
Fine, no goblins. And then he fucking does the fish sticks bit. And then he comes back as a ghost, and that's when he does they're even better when you're dead. Yeah, there was a lot of creative freedom on that show, because you know that like a lot of stuff got ad-libbed and like written in later and stuff like that. There's no way like, that was an original part of the script. Somebody just thought that was funny.
Well, it's always great when you can convince Maurice LaMarche to do Orson Welles. From what I heard, you know, the infamous audio clip of Orson Welles doing the commercial. It's like, this is a load of shit, you know that. Apparently, Maurice LaMarche does that speech to warm up his vocal cords.
Nice.
And for the record, if you watch Animaniacs and you haven't seen the episode Yes Always, which is the brain doing a parody of that speech, you need to go find it now and watch it because it is glorious.
And there's an E at the end of home. It's still the fucking funniest thing. I was telling Jesse during the Stripperella show that we stopped writing our senior thesis papers in college to watch Pinky and the Brain, and it was the Brainy the Pooh episode. Quality. But yeah, there's some really funny like parodies of the movies, and I think I keep saying like, oh, the Critic is the spiritual prequel to Damn You Hollywood, because a lot of the remarks that Jay makes about the movies and a lot of the parodies of movies that they're doing on coming attractions is the kind of stuff we talk about on Damn You Hollywood. You know, even his friend, we haven't really talked about him, but the Mel Gibson avatar, his friend Jeremy from Australia, which is
also voiced by Maurice LaMarche.
which is clearly
Is Mel Gibson? I thought it was going to be Paul Hogan.
I thought
from Crocodile Dundee.
They may have mashed those two together because there's a lot of Paul Hogan references like Crocodile.
Granted, Mel Gibson's going to be the one that everybody's going to probably know. Paul Hogan's probably got a couple movies we might know.
And the name and the face is clearly supposed to be Ethan Hawke.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so now we're all now it's amalgamation of different things.
Well, the character's name is Jeremy Hawke, and the face is clearly supposed to be Ethan Hawke.
Oh, I didn't get that. So, but yeah, Crocodile Gandhi. That's his big thing. It's fucking Mahatma Gandhi trying to bring peace to the Indians.
But first, a tasteful glimpse of me buttocks for the
ladies. I have so many times done the first a tasteful glimpse of me buttocks bit.
Oh my goodness! I just found a list of all of the parodies.
Oh dear God!
Go ahead, go give us a list. Jesse.
All right, I'm gonna run down them quick because there's a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So we have Howard Stern's End.
I just bought the property. What do you think of that? Hey, you, show me your move.
Honey, I Ate the Kids.
Yeah.
Clarice, you look distressed. Perhaps if I take your temperature.
The Cockroach King.
Yes.
Abe Lincoln, Pet Detective.
Hang on, my daughter's reaction to the cockroach King is like the Lion King is one of her favorite things.
Oh no!
Blasphemy! Like this close to booing the television.
Yeah. Then we have Schenectady, which was a parody of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Starring Jerry Lewis, which I swear I've heard you do that bit that the guy doing Jerry Lewis on the stand was.
I fucking have, yes. I've done.
Nice lady!
Jerry Lewis. Nice lady!
Schmigeggy. Scent of a Jackass and Scent of a Wolfman.
Yep.
RoboClap.
My hoo-ha, my blind driving.
My hoo-ha.
My tango dancing. My hoo-ha. You already said that.
RoboClapper.
Stop doing that.
Rabbi P.I.
Yeah.
Dladle, I made you out of clay.
Wow. This is like a clip show.
Yeah.
Proud Doubtfire. Snowman, which is a parody of Rain Man. Then we have
Northern Exposure. Gotta see Moose. Gotta see Moose.
Gotta see Moose. Home Alone 5, which I eventually happened.
I remember that clip so well because my parents and I watched the pilot episode when it aired, and I remember them laughing hysterically at that clip.
It's pretty funny.
The cigarette coming out of Macaulay Culkin's mouth with the 5 o'clock shadow.
yeah, right.
Perfection.
Then we have Family Affair, the movie, which was Marlon Brando as Mr. French. Okay. Barney the movie. Rocky 6 Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4. Then we have Arthur 3, which, by the way, Arthur showing up in this show multiple times was funny every single time. Arthur 3, Revenge of the Liver.
So I talked about this with Dorian when we did the Hard Bodies triple feature about what an underrated actor Dudley Moore is. And it's funny because because this generation doesn't know shit about Dudley Moore.
Right.
But so because my kids were asking me about the Arthur references, like, why do they keep doing this? And I'm like, he was in a very famous, two famous movies called Arthur, and that was kind of his character. But Dudley Moore has so much more in his repertoire than just Arthur, for God's sakes, and Ted for that.
But again, it's a really good impression. I swear to God, It wouldn't surprise me if the writer said, okay, who do we got for voice actors? Well, we got Maurice LaMarche, we got Kat Sose, we got Nancy Cartwright. Okay, what impressions can they do? They found out what impressions these voice actors were good at, and they wrote the clips around that.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Right. We then have Little Men, The Red Balloon 2, Revenge of the Balloon.
Oh, God, I remember that one.
Oh, this was one of my favorite bits. Dr. No means no.
On his or her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes. We have Speed 2, Speed Reading.
Darn, now I lost my place. That wasn't a clip. That was the whole movie.
There was a whole episode around this one, Ghostbusters 3.
The Ghost Chasers.
Ghost Chasers.
Yes, that's. I love Billy Crystal as the producer in that one. That was so good.
Jurassic Park 2, Revenge of the Raptors.
Okay, so that's another bit that gets constantly referenced, where it's like, you'll never get off this island. Well, me and the other dinosaurs have created a crude rap, but maybe I've said too much.
Okay, I don't know if you two remember this, because God knows it's one of the most forgetful movies. But Jurassic World 2, when the little clone girl is locked in her room,
I've seen them and reviewed them all, Alexis. Yes.
Yeah, I know, and I have too, and they're ungodly forgetful. But she gets out of her room the same way the raptor gets out of the movie.
Talk about that.
No way.
I guarantee you, when we review Jurassic World 2,
no way,
we absolutely reference the Critic.
Wow.
Yeah, she pokes the key. She slides a paper underneath, pokes the key out, and pulls the paper back with the key on.
That's awesome. We then have the Slide Whistle, which was
parody of the piano.
What do you think of me, penis? People are like, we don't have to watch this fucking show anymore. We got
right.
3 fucking ad-libbers here, just,
You have Dirty Harry Canine RoboCop and a half 2.
Is that the one where it's like, okay, I've got you a new partner.
Yes, like everybody,
they just do a fucking line of the different ridiculous partners.
And when they get to the last one, it always blows up for some reason. Like the leprechaun blows up. I don't know what's going on there. Brown Acres, which was a parody of Green Acres, Saddam Hussein's.
Fucking Brown Acres song just kills me to this day. Brown Acres is the place for me.
Can't living is the life for me.
Yes.
Hee Haw, we already talked about Hee Haw, The Next Generation.
Yes.
Chicken, the parody of Jack Nicklaus's
I'm
Wolf.
gonna peck your wall.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, baby.
Tina Turner and Ike Turner. Ike Turner's movie. What's truth got to do with it?
I had just reviewed last year with Jason for Black History Month. What's love got to do with it? Seeing that clip, remembering that movie. You're the greatest lover that ever lived, Ike.
And then we have, I just have it as listed as Pinocchio here, but they did a great Robin Williams impersonation as the Beige Genie, or Beige Fairy, excuse me, the Beige Fairy.
Yeah, was that supposed to be Bob Dylan playing Pinocchio? I
do not know.
I did not get that reference.
Smokey and Spartacus.
Oh, that's when
freaking go.
Yeah, that's when Duke builds that machine. That is the most Ted Turner thing.
We have to talk about that. My son was like, "You have to bring this up in the show," and I had almost forgotten it. How prescient this show really was. When you think about what that episode. So the whole point of that episode is Duke has this machine that changes the movies so that it has an ending people will like.
Oh yeah, dude. Right.
And how many years later we have like AI fucking with movies, and or if you want to go in a different direction, the close to release date tinkering that's constantly happening where they're not locking films until like a week before the show comes out.
Right.
Like
dude.
Superman, Fantastic Four, Snow White, Brave New World, like all of these movies where they can't get them right and they had to eventually just have to release them. How ahead of the curve the Critic was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, I recognized that when I was watching the episode. I was like, we're not there yet, but that's on the table as far as artificial intelligence goes, and like putting your face in the movie and creating, that's crazy.
I love Jay's little speech when he gets him to destroy the machine. What is it? I found it here online. I don't want Rhett coming back to Scarlet. I don't want the guy from My Left Foot to become a punter for the Bears. I want Deborah Winger, Alan McGraw, and Bambi's mother to die.
But I'll tell you, what's funny is because we're coming at it from the film preservation point of view. But do you know how many people, if we got them on the show and did like a poll of 100 people, how many of them would be in favor of happier endings?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's funny because
my wife.
going back to the idea of like test screen audiences and the tinkering that's going on, they're doing it because the test screens don't like how a lot of these movies are ending, so they're changing them. But then they're completely changing the tenor of the film by doing so. So you really do have like this, because there's such a need to try to maximize dollars for this movie. You're pandering is what you're doing.
Yeah, that's how you get the live action Snow White.
It's a lot of different ways you got the live action Snow White. That is one of a zillion examples.
Very true.
And not the best one. But yeah, I just thought, like, was there anything else in this show? Because I remember thinking about it, that was the most obvious one. Was there anything else in the show, Jesse, where that was like, wow, that's really ahead of the curve?
Oh well, I mean, I wrote down Home Alone 5. That's about all. Because that happened.
I would say, aren't we on Home Alone 5 or 6? I can't. The one
We're
that
past
just came
Home
out on
Alone
Disney.
5.
I would say the one that just came out on Disney Plus that everyone raked over the coals. I can't remember if that was 5 or 6.
I'm pretty sure that's 6 because we have one with oh my goodness, French Stewart.
Yeah, I think that was 4.
Yeah, I think that's 4. And then
I know when Sean and I did the long road tour, we only did the first 3.
Yeah,
well, you have to save your sanity somehow.
All right.
Let's say, as far as ahead of the curve, the only other thing I think of is the speech from the Pulitzer Prize episode. Because one of the reasons, first of all, that speech is brilliant.
Yes.
But one of the reasons I always remember and laugh is an online critic that I follow. When Battleship got released, he put that clip on his Facebook page. He said, "Guys, with Battleship coming out this weekend, I just want to remind you of this."
Yeah. So the last thing I was going to talk about is the very last episode. Because season 2, I think, is stronger than season 1. I think by season 2, they really found it. Like, also, they were on Fox, which I'm sure between the shift from ABC to Fox, they were given a lot more creative freedom. Also, one of the trademark Fox comedic beats is the self-deprecating humor. It's done on The Simpsons constantly. It's been done on Family Guy a bunch. So that line, "You're watching Fox, you give us 5 minutes, we'll give you an ass." That is a quality Fox line. That is a quality Fox bit. So I think that, and I'll give you guys a chance to respond to this, I think the humor got a lot more biting and satirical in season 2 and less sitcom-y than it was in season 1.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in here and say I agree 100% because what I noticed as I went into season 2, which by the way, I binged all of season 2 today. It got better. I immediately noticed how my notes here there was definitely some things that were added and some more recurring gags in the second season, which felt fine to me. I didn't feel like they were getting too tired. Jay's stomach talking was an addition this second season.
Yeah, and I think that was a direct rip from The Simpsons because Homer doesn't start talking to his brain until several seasons into it.
Okay, all right. We didn't get a Hachi Machi until like episode 8 something like that.
Did somebody say peas? I love the little peas with pearl onions and butter. First of all, his stomach always had a different accent. Did you notice?
Oh yes,
yes.
That's great.
What did you say, boy? Nothing, master. That's
Nothing,
good. Now dance for me.
But yeah, as far as the humor goes, I felt like it was starting to actually start moving a little bit more. It felt like it gained some ground, and we were actually getting a series here that had something to say.
Right.
And we're talking about. I know we're getting ready to go into the last episode. We're going to talk about the last episode. We're talking about it right now, one or the other. But that last episode, I assumed that the writing wasn't on the wall when that was done. They didn't leave us on a cliffhanger, but it's, I guess, if they're going to cancel the show, that's a good final episode, I guess. But I mean, has there been any reason as to why they canceled this thing? Like you said, I thought it was gaining steam.
Fucking ran out of
jokes.
Yes, actually.
I may be wrong, but I think it may have gotten hustled around a little bit in the schedule, which is essentially death for any show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I mean, this has definitely got that Simpsons humor vibe.
Yeah.
Stuff like I said,
but it was
came before.
way ahead. It was way ahead of its time.
Right.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but movie criticism isn't always the most popular thing.
They actually said that in the show.
So I think on the one hand, like why has Family Guy endured? Why did King of the Hill endure for so long? Why did The Simpsons endure for as long as it has? That's about something that's relatable to everybody on Earth. It's about a family. Okay, it's about a very relatable family to one degree or another. The Critic was about, me complaining about movies. Now, and I can tell you, based on my social media engagement, it's not the most popular thing.
I was like, I'm not going to have to make a joke. He's just going to roll right into it.
No, I'm very self-aware.
I'm right there with you, buddy. Don't worry.
But I will say this. I think a drastic improvement in season 2 was the introduction of Alice.
Right.
Because then they stopped doing the stupid dating stuff. It was more about their relationship, which I thought was stronger. But I hated the clip show episode.
Did you really?
I feel like the show ends with a firm message that they knew the ship was going down and they didn't care anymore.
Pretty much.
It's a fucking lazy episode.
Well, it definitely is lazy. I mean, I watched it right before I came down here, and when I was done, I looked at my daughter and I said, well, that was about 5 minutes of material I hadn't seen already. That's like, I'll just go downstairs.
That was the thing. It's like 5 minutes of bridging material, and the rest of the 20, the rest of like the 18 minutes is just fucking clips.
All stuff that we
There's
see.
a point in that episode where it's back-to-back clips.
Yeah.
It's literally like they show a clip, and they're like, and here's another clip, and they show a clip, and they're like, and one more clip.
And then we're going to have Schwarzenegger, and nope, he's not there.
And you actually have a line from Duke's like, we promised them something special and we just air a bunch of old crap. Wait, get that camera off me.
Yes, the show is also very self-aware. All right, so I have a little treat, and I sent you guys the link to this. I hope you did your homework.
Oh my goodness.
Put the link up. So before we do that, though, I've kind of run the conversation. I want to give you guys a chance. Is there anything on your list, dear Alexis, that we haven't covered that you want to get into?
I guess my thought is just why this show again. I'm guessing the show did get pushed around in the time slots a little bit because I cannot find any real reason why this got canceled. Especially when you look at the line of other animated shows that Fox tried to push around the same time. You want to have some fun? Take a look at the shows that Fox has tried to push over like the last 30 years and only went out for 1 or 2 seasons.
Seen when they canceled Family Guy and brought it back?
Yes. That list of his, it's like Fox is just gonna make way for quality shows. Oh my god, that list,
that goes on forever. The only other list that went longer was the list of songs that are just one girl's name.
That was a good bit.
Yeah.
But I always love the lines like, so is there any hope? Well, if all those shows go down the tube, then I guess we got a shot.
Yeah.
that line was worth it.
Jesse, any other thoughts about the show before we go into the last little bit here?
I can say that this is the first show that ever pointed out to me how much Christian Slater and Jack Nicholson sound alike. I never put that together until I watched this show, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're so right."
Yes. What is it? Hardcore Harry, or whatever the fuck his name was from Pump Up the Volume.
Oh yeah,
Harry Hardon. Yes, Harry Hardon, and and the general from A Few Good Men. Same guy.
Yep. And
was that William Devane?
I'm thinking the Tom Cruise.
Jack
movie.
Nicholson. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And then what is his dad's name again? Walter.
Franklin.
My favorite moment of his, because I've got this written down. I just wanted to throw this out there. I don't know why, but I laughed and laughed. It might be my favorite moment of the whole series is when he walks out to talk to Wilson, who's on the other side of the fence, like in Home Improvement.
Right.
And he's like, he says something, my wife. And then the only thing on the other side is a scarecrow with an owl on it. And the owl goes, who? And then he goes, my wife. Who? My wife. And it continues, and then it becomes day, and then it becomes night again. And then you see him, he's still going. My favorite bit of the whole series. I'm just throwing that out there. So that's how you can get me to laugh.
So, Alexis, I know that you're always like the girl looking over the fence into the He-Man Woman Haters Club that we have here on the Radulich Broadcast Network. We're going to let you into the clubhouse today,
Oh,
into our
gee, thanks.
into our Little Rascals clubhouse, and you get to play the
Runaway
game with
screaming.
us. and you get to play our little game with us. Jesse knows how this goes because we did this throughout. I think starting with The Wire, we started this, and then as we could find good ones, we kept doing this where we read quotes from the show. And I thought, what better TV party to bring this bit back than reading quotes from this show? So I have the IMDb page up. Jesse, you know how this goes. I read one, you read one, and when there's back and forth, we do them together. So you ready?
Okay, you're going to have to cue me up, make sure I don't know, or let's try it again. Make sure I know which one I'm doing. If Alexis has got to step in here, make sure to cue her up so I don't run all over her. Go ahead.
I'm going to start it, and then in the next one, I'm Jay, and you be the theater employee.
All right, that sounds good.
All right. I have a new girlfriend for you, son. This is Franklin. I have a new girlfriend for you, son. Her name is Bobby, and she lives in Malibu. She already has a boyfriend named Ken, but he's not much of a man. I checked. Quality.
And this one, you can see almost every single episode except this J line is going to change. Theater employee, excuse me, sir. The show is over.
But I have nowhere to go. You can read the next one, Alexis.
Finishing a movie review. Hang on. I think it's wherever it is. And that's why Goldie Hawn should be shot.
That's great. It stinks. Hachi machi.
That's perfect. We dressmakers have a very strict code, so I need to know. Do you deserve to wear... Oh my gosh, this bit was hilarious.
By the way, Alexis, you can be Margot.
Of course.
Yes. Do you deserve to wear virginal white? Because if you don't, you'll have to wear an off-white, and we call a hussy white. So which will it be? White?
Yes. Except for the gloves.
I remember when that bit hit, I laughed. Oh, it's funny.
Yeah. I can't believe the quote from Phil Hartman is on here. He got one scene in the whole show as Adolf Hitmaker.
Oh,
and it's like, I'm sorry. Anytime you hear Phil Hartman's voice, it is a treasure. It is a gift from God. That man was taken from us far too soon. 100%. And I love hearing his voice in voice acting.
All right, we got 3 here, so everyone take your appropriate parts.
I will be the theater clerk.
I'm Alice.
Excuse me, the show's over.
Get away, Pipsqueak.
That's why I love her.
Yeah, that's that nice little change to the ending credits. Excuse me, how many of these are on here? Because I think there's probably only 8. Excuse me, sir, the show's over.
Is the snack bar still open? Celebrity voices are impersonated. No celebrities were harmed in the filming of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to keep driving. I can't stop for anything.
When he becomes
Meet
a trucker.
Ingmar Bergman, 25 cents.
Oh?
Well, you'd best get back to the strawberry patch with Polanski and Bertolucci.
Excuse me. This is my only line, by the way. This is all I'm going to read. Excuse me, sir. The movie's over.
I'm stuck in the chair.
Listen to your heart.
You can be actual.
Oh, I get to be Jay this time.
Yeah.
Everybody always says that.
Nobody ever listens to me. Awkward.
But that's technically wrong because the way he says it, how awkward.
Yeah.
He always says it like that.
So what's funny is there was a wiki one, but it was like we'd be here for another hour just reading lines from the critic because they broke it down by character.
We did that already.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've already read half the lines from the freaking movie scenes.
Okay. All right. Again, one more time around the clock, and then we're going to get out of here. Alexis, any last words about the critic?
Again, this was a show that was very unjust. Okay, actually, this is what I found interesting. A lot of times when we do reviews, I will just do a Google search to see if any other critics that I follow have discussed it, see if they've got any points that I may have forgotten, or if they bring up something it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of that. I can find nothing absolutely nothing on YouTube of other movie TV critics talking about this show. It's so surreal. It's like everyone knows the show, everyone loves this show, but nobody talks about this show.
I don't know if it like. I think I'll be honest with you. I was stretching to get to an hour tonight. Like I wanted to do it. And I think it was because of the one night that Dorian was here, we all just kept doing critic jokes. I'm like, well, you should just talk about this fucking show already. So, so we're missing a voice. But I think this is one of those reviews where I'm talking about it because I love it so much. And, and I just want to spend an hour gushing about this show. Not a lot of critical analysis to be had. I mean, if we went episode by episode and kind of looked at some of the satirical notes about movies, maybe. But I also don't want to do that. I like the show as it is. It doesn't really warrant that level of scrutiny. And I'm guessing other people came to the same conclusion. Your thoughts, Jesse, if any?
Well, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed what I watched. This does hold a place in your heart. And I've seen other people, not a whole lot, but I've seen other people reference this show and talk about how, it was, they found it funny. I've never heard somebody say that. Well, I've never heard somebody say it stinks about the Critic. Nobody that I know of, but I talked about how this is something that I've never seen before. There's a blank spot in TV between like 93 and like 96, 97 for me, because I didn't have access to a TV that could pick up Fox or ABC. So that's kind of why it flew under my radar. Would have I enjoyed it back then? Yes, I think I would have. I would have had a good time. There's so much here. And yeah, the one-liners are left and right. It very much reminds me of a Family Guy before Family Guy. You talked about how ahead of its time it is. That's what it reminds me most of. And yeah, the impressions and the voice acting, all on par. They're great. So, Hachi Machi.
Well said. All right. Speaking of Hachi Machi, Jesse and I reviewed all 30 issues of the Darth Vader comic.
Yeah.
What's the author's name? Kieran Gideon or something like that?
Kieran Gillen.
Gillen. Yeah, we did all 30 issues of the Marvel Lucasfilm Darth Vader that came out a couple of years ago on Source Material Live, which will then get cut up into Source Material proper on a completely different feed. Then myself and Robert reviewed. What did we review? We reviewed How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah. Ugh, yeah.
I was gonna say, is that movie so forgettable you already can't remember it?
Yeah. We reviewed.
Is it really? I need this thing to come through, man.
If you're a fan of the movie and you don't care that it was remade into live action, you'll like it just fine. There were people clapping. So you've all heard me do the bit from a few years ago where I went on a rant in our review of No Way Home, and I was screaming roses. They're going to throw roses at the screen, Robert Winfrey. Do you remember this, Jesse?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we get up from watching How to Train Your Dragon, and people clapped. And my son pulls my sleeve and he goes, "Roses! They'll throw roses at the screen, Robert Winfrey." And I'm like, you're now referencing me. Fantastic. I love my son. Anyway, tomorrow, in our continuing tribute to trans people a year late, we are doing a director focus on the Wachowski sisters, Bound, Cloud Atlas, which I finally watched today, which was 3 fucking hours long. The Wachowski sisters. Don't hate them for the reasons you think. Hate them for the reasons they deserve it. Yeah. God, that fucking movie.
It stinks.
It stinks.
It stinks.
Yeah, so we're doing Bound, which was awesome. Cloud Atlas, which was interminable. And hey, Jesse, remember this one? Jupiter Ascending.
Ascending.
God.
Mila Kunis?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I remember this. We did a live commentary of that, didn't we?
Yes, we did. For
what were you supposed to say in the live commentary? Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking.
That was for, what is Bailey's thing again? The comic book team up?
Superblog team up, yeah.
Superblog team up, yeah. Yeah, that was my contribution that year to the Superblog team up.
Good stuff.
That's what we're doing. And then and speaking of which, and the hits just keep on coming, this Saturday, myself and Evan Bevins are doing a comic strip. We are looking at Here, which I read today. Jesse.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude.
And I don't know if read is the right term.
I know, dude. It's like maybe, I don't know, a 15, 20-minute read, I guess.
Throw that one into the word counter.
It's
and
a
watch
weird
the word
book.
counter give you the fucking finger. But I finally got through Here, and we'll compare it to the Steven Spielberg movie, which came out last year, which critics did not love. Next week, we've got Sunday. Jesse and I are getting back together for an extra source material live. We're going to look at All-Star Superman just in time for the new Superman movie, which it's based on. Damn You Hollywood will be looking at Elio. Alexis, you're coming on for that, right? I think it's Zach as a maybe.
Yeah, of course. I'm actually looking forward to it. Early review. It just is now starting to get reviews coming in, and it's sitting on Rotten Tomatoes at an 86%. So
Cool.
That's not terrible.
A week from tomorrow finishes off Pride Month. We'll be looking at Milk, Kinsey, and Lizzie. So that's what's going on here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Oh, and Friday, because we had to move this around. Friday, also to celebrate Trans Month, Jesse and I are going to make a dubstep song based on the gag reel from our Ant-Man Second Chance Man review, where Jesse blurted out, "Hit it, Darren," in reference to LGBTQ Hulk, otherwise known as Pink Darren Cross. And I fucking died laughing. So, despite Robert Winfrey's chagrin, we will be taking the "Hit It, Darren" bit and turning it into a dubstep.
Love it. Love it.
So,
love it.
Alexis, you just did Last of Us not that long ago. What do you got next?
I need to actually double check my schedule here because I don't think I don't have a lot of. I don't think I see any Damn You Hollywood's coming up, or TV Party Tonight's coming up in the near future. We've done a ton of them back to back. You know, we just did The Last of Us, which we had to reschedule. We just did Apple Cider Vinegar. So we did Andor Season 2. I know we've got a lot of shows we need to get scheduled. I know Resident Alien Season 4 just came out, so we can hopefully get that on the schedule before too long. I know not this next month, but the month after that, Jesse, you and I are going to start our Stranger Things retrospective. Looking forward to that.
Cannot wait.
Just talked to Mick Wanamaker about hopefully getting Wednesday Season 1 back on the schedule. We had to put it off for a while because her work schedule got a little crazy. So hopefully we can get that back on there, especially since we just got a new teaser today for Wednesday Season 2, showing Steve Buscemi as the new headmaster of Nevermore Academy. And I love Steve Buscemi. I think he's a welcome addition. Again, very much so like Jon Lovitz, very underappreciated. I think he's a great actor, and I love seeing him come on. I think he adds a ton whenever he does a role.
I agree.
So we got that. Yeah, there's a lot of shows I have on here. It's like, oh, wow, we don't have that on the schedule yet, including the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, which Andre and I just started watching. This is the second season of the Monster series, following up the Jeffrey Dahmer story.
That reminds me, when we're done, I need to pull you into a meeting.
I'm not going anywhere.
With HR.
Okay.
What have you done now, Alexis?
What I do now?
A stack of write-ups.
Hey, I didn't mute your son in Lilo and Stitch, okay? I came through.
You were very well behaved, yes.
No, your kids were actually great on Lilo and Stitch. I had a lot of fun reviewing with them. They brought up some really good points. It was fun talking with them. Your daughter's nails scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, her nails are fucking ridiculous. Also, the next time if she ever goes on a podcast again, which extemporaneous speaking is not her thing, but if she ever does decide to do a podcast again, I'm telling her, I'm getting her like a platform or a tray or something, and be like, don't touch your fucking computer.
Get her a ring light too. I mean, I'm sorry. She did a really good job, but yeah, the computer was shaky and I could barely make her out half the time because she also had a lamp on in the background, so she was horribly backlit. Not her fault. She didn't know these things, but
no, I did not go run through the house that night making sure we were studio ready.
He's got the light meter out. All right, okay, we're good.
Yeah, we are properly lit now. Everyone's light good. I go fuck my girlfriend now. Thanks, Jesus Christ. Sorry, did I say the quiet part out loud?
You did.
You
Jay.
did. No, but your kids did a really good job. Jonas brought up some amazing points talking about the animated versus live, just this trend of Disney in itself. So I had a lot of fun talking with them about that. I actually really had fun talking with them about why we didn't get to see Pleakley and drag of all things.
I cut that for TikTok. That's the best. That's the best stuff of the show.
Yeah, hope you don't mind. I ended up introducing your kids to Boys in the Hall that way, or Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall.
So what's
Yeah.
Boys in the Hall? I've heard of Kids in the Hall, but
dude, I quote Kids in the Hall to my kids constantly. Every time
Really? They had no idea what I was talking
they
about.
might not know I was doing Kids in the Hall. Also, they don't always know what I'm doing when I'm doing it, even if I explain it to them. But do you know how many times I've looked at one of my kids and says, "What the hell is wrong with you, Carl?" Which I can't find that clip anywhere. I love that clip. I love that bit that they do, and I can't find shit from it.
Well, I was trying to explain to them the humor of having the voice actor for Pleakley, who was on Kids in the Hall, in drag in the movie as part of the joke. It's like, he's in a dress again.
Are you done with your plugs?
Okay, so
Or do you need to do the honeysuckle hustle?
the honeysuckle hustle. You have started something and you're going to regret it.
For several
now
years
it's time for the plugs that pay her.
Jesse, I want to thank you again for standing up for my
You got
Oh, look at you, the
You got
valorous Jesse.
That's why I did it, Mark.
Oh, by the way, Jesse, you see what I got today?
Nice, very nice. It's Hannah. Is that like what is that?
Magician's Trap, issue number 5.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
When they actually finish the trade on that, let me know.
Will do. This is my favorite superhero of all time. I freaking love Zatanna. I love her books.
Cool. Yeah, I like
Okay.
Zatanna too. I'd be interested in the trade when it comes out.
Definitely. But yes, as far as the plugs that pay me, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fan of the intersection of geek and chic. We are going to be making an appearance at KC Crypticon, not this weekend, but the next weekend, which is not only going to have a lot of guests who've been appearing in the Terrifier movies. You two are going to love this. Michael Winslow and Steve Gutenberg are coming.
Michael Winslow is
interesting.
still alive?
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
He was the guy that made the noises, right?
Yes.
Sound
Yeah,
effects, man.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But yeah, we got Clint Howard, Bill Mosley, Tony Cox, Warwick Davis,
Wow.
and Kane Hodder, Diedrich Bader, Brian Tochi from various movies, including Revenge of the Nerds and the live-action Ninja Turtles from the 90s.
Nice.
And where was the David Howard Thornton, who is Art the Clown, our newest horror icon character.
I'm not watching the movies. No way. Too scary.
I couldn't get through the first one. Just like I somebody actually said, so what's the story for the second one? And I was like, you really think there's going to be a story
Yeah.
after the first one? It's
My
like,
daughter was
story?
showing me that stuff, and I was like, "What is going on? Why did that girl just shit a black puddle?
Yeah, to
I want
quote,
her, get me out of here. I'm leaving."
to quote Billy Crystal,
Did she also not be able to get into the Taco Bell and had to like go running the diarrhea
You,
to a
Mark.
Dunkin' Donuts?
no, I was just saying, to quote Billy Crystal's character from the Critic, plot. What an interesting word. Plot. Yeah, I swear to God, that's what the director for Terrifier said. But yes, looking forward to it. Going to have a lot of fun. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, screw you, Twitter, and TikTok, as long as TikTok's still available. And we do have our shops on Etsy and handmade at Amazon. And little announcement, I was just talking with Mr. Mark Radulich about this before the show started. I am looking at actually opening a third shop on Shopify, because Shopify links directly to TikTok. So this may be a good way for us to finally start selling via TikTok, because when you try to just upload your products to TikTok straight, it is a nightmare. So this is something that I'm looking at. So again, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
Awesome.
Take me home, baby doll.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 shows, one of which is called the Source Material Comics Podcast, where we talk about comic books of any era. On the 9th of June, myself and Mark Radulich started our journey into 3 Joker stories. Our first one being Joker Killer Smile, which is a really good book. So if you want to hear what happens in that and our discussion on what occurs, please tune in and check that out. Also, check out the Unspoken Issues podcast. That one just aired this past Monday on the 16th, where myself and Chris Armstrong got together and we discussed Wildcats #2. Came from the 90s, baby. That's what Unspoken Issues is all about, 90s comics. And you also get to listen to a ska rendition of the Wildcats theme song. You know you want to listen. By golly, it's out there. I created it on Suno. And then, of course, myself and Evan Bevins get together once a month and we talk Marvel Snap. So if you have Marvel Snap on your phone and you like to hear a couple guys get together and talk about what happened last season and the season that's upcoming and some of their top fives. We do tier lists. We do some stuff on YouTube. Check that out. It's called Snap Material. That's it. I'm ready to get out of here.
Folks, thanks for joining us here on TV Party tonight. For Alexis Hejna of the Honeysuckle Hustle, for Jesse Starcher of the Source Material Hustle, I have to cut a TikTok for tomorrow. Be well, be safe, and behave.